Hey everyone, it's your girl Crystal and welcome back to my channel. I've got an episode of Plan With Me for you today. I'm a little stressed out on how quickly this year is going by. We're literally done with the first quarter of 2019, and the saying is true. The older you get, the faster time goes by. That's definitely my life right now, but lighter note, I have a really exciting theme for April. Also, if you love bullet journaling videos, make sure you subscribe to my channel. That button is down below. It's free, so hit that and subscribe. I provide a monthly plan with me every single month. Yep, every single month.
Every single month.
So you always have something to look forward to. With that being said, cue the voiceover and let's get started. So, for the month of April, I was challenged by Nate to do a Game of Thrones inspired theme. The final season's first episode is coming out on April 14th, and I am so excited. It has been a while since the last season, so I definitely need to binge watch the earlier seasons to refresh my memory. For the cover page, as you can see, I drew one of the dire wolves. I thought it would be perfect to start this setup with the Starks, since that's basically how the show begins. Okay, I'm gonna try really hard not to give away any spoilers during this setup. For all the people who have not seen the show, I suggest to add it to your must-watch list because this show is so good. The pens that I'm using here are my trusted Micron pens and also my Artist Loft markers. As always, I will leave a link down below in the description box for everything that I'm using here. I'm also trying out this new camera setup where you guys can see from my point of view. I've been wanting to shoot from this angle for a while and I finally found a way to do it without buying a new tripod. Let me know if you guys want to see how I set up for my bullet journal setup videos and I'll make sure to get that out to you. For the word April, I wrote it out like the Game of Thrones font. To do this, I added serifs to the letters and made every downward stroke thicker. The color palette that I chose for this month is black and red. Last month, I used black and yellow and I fell in love with using very minimal colors on my layouts. Onto my quote page, I was inspired from a picture that I saw on Pinterest. It says, "Fire cannot kill a dragon." I really like the typography on this one. It reminded me a lot of the Mother of Dragons. She is very striking and fiery. I was just gonna keep this black and white, but I couldn't resist. I just had to add red. I absolutely love the way this cover page turned out, and I feel like it's a nice mix between simple and minimal and detailed, and I really love the black and red. Now onto my calendar layout. I went for a similar layout as my February setup. I just wanted to keep this simple, so for the header, I decided to draw an arrow, and across it, I wrote out April. The arrow is reminiscent of the wildling Ygritte. I don't know if I'm saying her name right, but this one's for her. I think it's really cool that in real life, she's actually married to Jon Snow. Like, what? Instead of boxes, I use very minimal lines for my calendar. I also added tiny feathers floating around the page, and I thought it tied the page together. I really like how open and clean this turned out. Now onto the next page. This will be the space where I write out all my goals for the month. I thought it would be really nice to put them in a scroll. I find this page very useful because I can always look back on it and keep myself accountable for my goals. On the bottom right of the page is where I usually doodle on this page. I think I'm really starting to find the layouts that are essential to my well-being. I drew some ravens, which I thought went perfectly with my calendar page since I added some feathers, and I just wrote out goals and tasks. I added some outlines just to make everything more cohesive. I really love how these two pages complement each other. On to my favorite part, trackers. I am a sucker for trackers. I love tracking my mood and my habits. They really help to get to know myself and work on being better. For April's mood tracker, I thought doing the Hall of Faces would be appropriate since your girl is a different person with a different mood every day. Anyway, I cut a black construction paper into these tiny little window shapes. I don't know what to call these, but we'll go with that. For everyone who says that they don't know how to draw, you can always find inspos online and print them out. I printed and cut these character illustrations to my liking, and I'm using this glue tape, which is one of my bullet journal essentials. This basically turns anything you print into stickers, and just like that, you can have really cool designs on your bullet journal. As you can see here, I'm using this glue tape just like how you would use a whiteout on paper. I highly recommend getting this. It helps to also fix accidental mistakes on your bullet journal, and I think it's a really good investment. This is honestly so oddly satisfying for me. It's really rewarding to see the result of all of these laid down one by one. Instead of writing mood tracker, I decided to write Hall of Faces and Valar Morghulis at the bottom of the page. I'm using these colored pencils to fill these in throughout the month to indicate what mood I was in during that day. A very useful trick when your colored pencils are not labeled is to swatch them. Cut the swatch and tape it on the colored pencil. This makes it easier for you to know what color it is on paper. I was really intimidated to draw the Hall of Faces, but I really love how this one turned out. Arya is probably one of my favorite characters. She is so badass and savage. I can't wait to see what she's going to do to the people on her list for this final season. I love how she repeatedly recites their names. I hope to have that same perseverance and motivation that she has to fill in this habit tracker. Wanted to balance out the mood tracker on the left side, so I wrote Valar Dohaeris, which means all men must serve. For my title, I decided to name it Kill List instead of Habit Tracker just to give me that extra push. I've been really loving these visual trackers. They are truly the way to go personally for me. I find that this type of tracker is a lot easier for me to look at and keep track of everything. I find it satisfying to fill these in, so if you haven't tried out trackers, I suggest going on Pinterest and test out different layouts because this is a life changer. Last month, I used circles for my trackers and it was really difficult for me to fill it in because I was getting lost in the page. So this month, I'm sticking with boxes and just simple lines. I'm using my red Pilot G2 pen to write the habits that I'm tracking this month on the side to add that pop of color to this page. I can't wait to fill these in. I think these are my favorite trackers so far. This next spread is going to be a nice journaling page for me to just write out and spew all of my thoughts and ideas. When Nate requested this theme, he specifically asked for dragons. I've never drawn a dragon before, so I thought I'd try it out. I was a bit worried about how these will turn out because all of my dragon inspos had some form of shading. I didn't really have time to do all of that, so I decided to do outlines instead. It was minimal but still had details. I love getting creative on this spread. I wanted to draw the dragons on the edge of the pages to frame it. The second dragon is Viserion, and I tried to make it look more like the Night King with the scales and textures. This whole dragon situation really just had me shook. I don't know what to expect from season 8, but I'm hoping some dragon action. Speaking of dragons, I totally loved watching American Dragon Jake Long when I was younger. That was my show. Little side note there. Honestly, it took me a while to like Game of Thrones. I had to watch the first episode 3 times because I kept falling asleep. But after the ending of the first episode, I was so nice. So here I decided to make an exception. I used red on the dragon on the left and blue on the dragon on the right to represent fire and ice. Ice, ice, ice. Okay, I'm having too much fun with my voiceover here. I really wanted to keep this minimal but still creative, and I think the dragons on this spread gave it a good balance. I love the contrast between the blue and red. It's giving me some Captain Marvel vibes right now. I'm so happy at how these illustrations look for my first attempt. And we're on to our first weekly spread. Those dragon illustrations were dragging. Ha, get it? Okay, in all seriousness, for this first weekly spread, I decided to draw a floating banner for my header. I really wanted to keep using the Game of Thrones font to make the whole setup more cohesive. This week, I'm trying out a different layout that I've never done before. Again, I just wanted to keep this minimal, so I went with these geometric outlines of the house sigils. I drew the first 4 known houses, which are the Targaryen, Lannisters, Starks, and Baratheon. I love how delicate and clean these look. I was thinking of filling these in initially, but I'm so glad I didn't because I'm really loving the negative space. For the last 3 houses, I drew House Aaron, Tully, and Tyrell. Here, I'm using my red marker to write out the days of the week over the sigil outlines. This kind of reminded me of when I used layers on Photoshop. I'm really loving how this red stands out and how bold yet simple this is. I'm obsessed with this. It honestly brings me back to the times I used to do screen printing. That's it for our first weekly spread. Before I show you the final flip through, here's a recap of my March bullet journal after pen. Spring is definitely in session and I love drawing these bee doodles. Finally, here's the final flip through of my April bullet journal setup. I truly enjoyed designing with this Game of Thrones theme. I can't wait for this final season to come out. Hey guys, so that wraps up my April bullet journal setup. If you did a Game of Thrones inspired theme, I would love to see what you came up with. Make sure to tag me on Instagram at Chriselle Manabat. I'm always looking for new design and layout inspos. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you hit that like button. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!